Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I am your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I bring you guys awesome interviews. And today it is an honor and real privilege to have Mr. Kelle Rhoads on the phone with me right now. He's a classical musician and the brother to the late great Randy Rhoads, who played for Riot and Ozzy Osbourne. But we're going to get to Kelly's stuff because he's also a musician. He has 4 classical albums that's out right now. Plus, he's done a little bit of rock and roll. Yeah, apparently he's got a little rock and roll in it. And plus, his whole family is rich in musical talents and everything, going back to his mother and his father, plus his great-grandpa, stuff like that. So, Kelle, how's it going, my man?
Well, it's good. It's an honor to be on your show. Pleasure to talk to you this afternoon, I guess evening where you are. And I'm excited to share some information with you and your audience, and answer some questions. We'll talk about some stuff that maybe people always wondered about. Maybe they didn't have the right information, but we're going to fix that right now.
So your family has a rich musical background with
It does.
with your mother and your father both having ties to it. Can you give us a little bit more information on the background and everything, how it all started?
Yes, I'd be glad to. Actually, if you look at our family like a tree, Randy and I are like the leaves. My mom was a classically trained cornetist and trumpet player. My father played clarinet. In fact, an interesting fact for your audience is the fact that Pete Townsend of The Who, Eddie Van Halen, and Randy Rhoads, they share something. All 3 of them, the fathers, played clarinet.
That's awesome. Wow.
And so my great auntie, Helena, she was a pianist. She played piano, and it goes back for quite a few years, back into the middle of the 19th century. I had some ancestors that played in brass bands. So music's been in my family for a couple of 100 years.
People, if you think about it, those brass bands, those are the rock stars at the time, man. Nothing like today.
That's absolutely true. In the 1930s, the lead guitar players were the clarinet players.
Wow, that's hard to imagine. From
it is kind of hard to imagine, but stuff evolves and changes.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is it's cyclomatic, so everything does come back.
That's very true. And the 70s style music is coming back a little bit now.
It is.
So
it is. There's a band that kind of reminds me. This is a new band, and it kind of reminds me of Led Zeppelin. And they're called Rival Sons.
Yes, that's who I was going to say. Great minds think alike.
Yeah, that's a great band.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to see them with Black Sabbath a week from Monday. They're opening for Black Sabbath at the Hollywood Bowl.
Man, this is awesome. Your mom and dad taught music at and I hope I pronounced this right, the Masonic School of Music.
Musonia.
Masonia, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they did. They were lifelong teachers, and like Randy, they really loved being teachers.
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of the black sheep because I don't have too much. I don't. Let's put it this way: teaching isn't one of my favorite aspects of the job. I like being the director of Musonia School of Music, but I'm not quite as taken with teaching as my mom and my dad and my brother were. As much as my brother was passionate about being a performer and a virtuoso artist, he just absolutely loved to teach. He was dedicated, and he really, really enjoyed it. And my mom really enjoyed it, too. And my father, he didn't ever want to go into show business. He only wanted to be a music teacher.
Now, he was a doctor, right or wrong? Was that your grandpa?
No, my grandfather, my mom's father was a grandfather. Was a doctor, and he had this guitar. We still have it at the house, and it's a 1918 Gibson Army Navy Special.
Wow.
And when Randy was a little kid, he was a tiny little kid. He was going through my mom's closet, and that guitar fell and hit him on the head. And that's how he got to play guitar.
Wow.
He put that thing on the floor, and he was so little that he played it with his hands like he was swimming. And then later on, when he still would look for it, my mom would put it back in the closet, and he'd go find it again, and he'd pull it out. When he was about 6, my mom said, "Randy, do you want to play guitar?" And he goes, "Yeah, I want to real bad, Mom." So she goes, well, then you're going to have to take music lessons. And that's how it all started with Randy and guitar. That guitar that used to belong to my grandfather, he must have known that that's what Randy was destined for, and he let that fucker fall on Randy's head, and that started the whole thing.
Was this something that your mom and dad wanted to do always, to start this school for these, for everybody that wanted to come out and learn?
No, not actually.
Okay.
It was because my mom thought that people got too much money for music lessons.
Oh.
So the thing is she decided to start a music school that would be reasonably enough priced so that people could enroll all their children in music lessons. Not just one, not just a violin player or a piano player, and there's not enough money for the rest of the kids. No, she wanted everybody to be able to learn with real good teachers at an affordable price. And to this day, 2016, 68 years actually after the school started, an adult can take guitar lessons for an entire month. That's one lesson a week for an entire month for $100.
That's wow.
And a child, or I should say a younger person, could take a guitar lesson once a month for a whole month for $80.
That's great prices. You can't beat that. Oh, my God.
No, that's why the school's operated at a loss for over 2 years. But we do offer tours. One just left, a group of people from Texas, and the tours subsidize the school. And we have people that come from all over the world to see this school, all over the world.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, this is ground zero for you guys. This is where you grew up, right? I mean, this is
where we grew up, and the school looks exactly like it did when we were growing up.
Yeah, I'm getting chill bumps.
And so the school looks the same. The same people have owned it for 68 years. It's run the same way. It provides the same service. And it's really a legacy that I'm very proud to be part of.
Hell yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that being a Rhoads is always a day in the park, There's a couple of people out there, a French fry short of a Happy Meal, that are you kind of have to watch out for them because they're just a little bit too obsessive and a little bit too fanatical. And so you got to kind of, be on your guard. But actually, to be in this family, it's quite a privilege. It's quite a privilege. It's quite a privilege that my little brother is Randy Rhoads. That's amazing. It's amazing to me, and I knew him way before he even touched the guitar.
That's what I said. I want to get your music out there a little bit more because I know how it is to be in the shadow of stuff like that, and it's good, good and bad both. But I mean,
I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that very much, and I'll just give you a real quick discography. I came out with Titanic Overture in 2005. I followed that up with Portraits of Oblivion, which actually has about 1 minute and 30 seconds of a Randy Rhoads guitar solo that's no place else ever on any recording except on that record. Portraits of Oblivion, that came out in 2010. Pride and Profanity was released in 2013, and the latest one that's out, although I'm working on my 5th one, The Magnificent Obsession, was released in June of 2015, and I write classical music principally oriented towards the pianoforte. So a lot of my stuff is heavily grand piano oriented music, but I do use other instruments, and I'm branching out, and I'm using, like, on the one that I'm doing now, I use mandolin, I use a special guitar, I use voices, stuff like that. So I'm branching out. I'm learning how to, compose for multi-instruments.
With these 4 classical albums out, Kelle, what's impressed you the most about each of them, if you could pick one thing about them, if you can? Because I know these songs and everything are just like your kids, but is there anything
they sure are.
Is there anything that's caught your eye with each one, though, possibly?
I would say the uniqueness of them. My mom, who was never real generous on compliments for me, she told me one day, she goes, I got to tell you something. She goes, your music is really, truly unique. She goes, you really have a musical fingerprint. There isn't anybody that does music like you do. Mm-hmm. And that's probably the determining factor as far as I'm concerned. It really does. It really is true, and it really is something that I strive for. I don't copy anybody else, and I don't copy myself. I'm very particular about, does that sound like something I recorded before?
Right.
Or does that sound like something that I've done before? No, it's got to be something that's me, that's my style. And fortunately, I have an engineer and a producer who share my vision, and they know exactly what a Kelle Rhoads record ought to sound like, and that really helps. That's a great help for me to have that.
Yeah, because a lot of bands these days are putting the same stuff out from album to album to album. It's like, really, just take a break, just calm down. You know?
I know. I agree with you. Enough's enough. All this mixed stuff and the voices all sound the same, stuff like that. And that's one question I have about rap. And I'm not going to say whether I like it or not, although I bet you could probably guess, and you'd be right. But let me just say this. How do you know what artist is making the rap song? They're all about the same thing, and they all sound the same.
Yep. And
it just is incredible to me that the public will keep buying that when it's so similar, you know?
It's like everybody gives, I'm a huge Metallica fan. Everybody gives Metallica hell, but this new album, or this getting ready to come out, the new song,
yeah,
I think it sounds great. I mean, geez, they're grown up. They're men now. They don't hate everything like they used to, from Masters of Puppets to Injustice for All. They grew up, folks.
That's a great band.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. I mean,
that's a great band. And the bass player that was the original one in that band, he was almost to the level of Randy.
Cliff is a bass god. Yeah. I mean,
that guy was a total fucking virtuoso.
Yes,
he was amazing.
He can make a bass guitar sound like.
And Dave Mustaine used to be in that band. You knew that, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He was on Kill 'Em Off a little bit. Yeah. Exactly. Kelle, for you, what led you to do classical music instead of going the heavier music route? What said, well, I want to do classical instead of this?
Well, I did the heavier metal route for a long time, and I still do it sometimes.
Okay.
It's been years, but I've gotten back into it. Now, what led me to do it was, and it sounds kind of corny, but I had an epiphany. I woke up one morning, and I went, my God, I've been doing this all wrong. I can't fucking believe it. I've been doing it all wrong. And I was absolutely convinced upon having this revelation that I should be doing classical piano music. So I got busy. I took lessons. I still do. I've been playing for 20 years now, and I have 4 CDs out. I've played on other people's CDs, and I'm assiduously at work on my 5th one.
Do you have a favorite piece of classical music that you written or composed with somebody, or maybe coming up on this new one that's going to come out, possibly?
Has to be what I'm working on now. Has to be what I'm doing right now. It's a new level for me. I'm proud of all my stuff.
Yeah.
I like all the stuff that I've done, but this is a different level. This is new territory, and I'm so excited about it. I'm really, really jazzed about it.
Now, for folks that don't know this, Nick Menza used to drum for you, right? Is that correct?
Oh, he did, and that was such a sad loss.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
I was so sad when I heard that. He was in the Rhoads band, which was a metal band, heavy metal band, and he was my drummer for 3.5 years. When I heard about it, the first thing I did was I just got in the car without thinking. Hadn't seen his mom, Rose Menza, in 25 years. I got in the car. I drove to their house. I knocked on the door, and I walked in, and it was like I'd just seen her like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen her in a quarter century.
Yeah, Nick was a lovable guy, too. Real humble.
He was such a nice guy.
Yeah.
He was so cool. It was so much fun to be in a band with that guy.
I had him on the show about a year or two ago.
Did you?
Yes, really great guy. Really great guy.
Oh, yeah. Really, really cool. I really miss him. The 2 deaths in my lifetime that have been like, oh, my God, this can't be true. This just can't be true, is Randy and Nick. Nick was only 51 years old.
Yeah, and he was on stage when it happened, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Died on stage.
Yeah.
Yep. He died on stage.
Yeah, the one that shocked me the most, my time, was Dimebag. My heart broke.
Yeah. Yeah. That was really horrible. That was really, really, really horrible. Zakk Wylde introduced me to Rita, which I guess was Dimebag's wife, girlfriend.
Yeah, girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I met the family, and I just that was shocking. That kind of changed the game that somebody would do that in a concert.
It's just like we was talking before. I mean, we got these quack jobs out there who think that they're best friends with these guys and don't even know them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand it. And I think security should be more tighter at shows, but that's just me.
Well,
You know,
I think it's inevitably going to be that way.
that's true.
I think that that's the way it's going to go, because these people just do these real nutty things, and it's terrible. It's really, really terrible. God, you'd think if you were on stage, you'd be immune from somebody shooting you.
Yeah, you think security would be like, who the hell's this guy coming over here?
Yeah, you'd think that they would screen it so that nobody'd be able to get a gun in there.
Yep, you think.
Well, the times that we live in, what can we do?
Keep praying and praying and praying is all I can say. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. Yes.
You know, we had talked previously about Randy was going to play classical music, but Kelle, what led him to play with, metal, such as, with Quiet Riot and Ozzy, instead of going the classical route? What happened with that? I mean, I know he got the guitar earlier and everything, but...
Well, all the roots of our family go back to classical music. All goes back to classical. And it was kind of just a natural progression for him to get more and more involved in classical music. If you look at a song that he wrote in Quiet Riot, like Killer Girls or Trouble, and then you look at Over the Mountain or Diary of a Madman, you see a progression there. You see him getting more into complex rhythms, chord structures, and really, he's evolving closer to the source. And the source in our family has always been classical music. That's what I do. That's what I do. That's what my mom did. That's what my dad did. So it's a very predictable and understandable progression for Randy that he would go in that direction. If you were reading a book, it would make so much sense if you were reading about it. Oh, that makes sense that he would get involved in that. That really strikes true. It rings true. And that's all I can tell you about that. Would he have still done rock? I'm sure he would. I'm sure he would. And by the way, he was going to record more records with Ozzy. If you've heard that he was going to quit the band or whatever, you didn't hear the whole story. He was only going to quit touring until he got a degree in classical guitar studies. But he was still going to record with Ozzy.
Every time I hear his guitar playing, and I'm not lying, this is the God's honest truth, it puts chills up me. Just to hear his guitar playing and just watch him play like it's nothing. I mean, it's like, I can do that. No, you can't.
Well,
it just gives me chills, man.
That's all he ever did. He never had a paper route. He never worked a job. He never cleaned up any dog shit. He never did nothing except play the guitar. And boy, did he do that.
That's true. What do you hope folks take away when they listen to a Kelle Rhoads classical album? What do you hope that they get from these albums once they start to listen to it, Kelle?
Well, I commend you. That's a very, very good question. A very good question. And this is the answer. What I hope is I hope that they go someplace. I hope they travel. Yeah. When they hear it, I hope they go someplace in their mind. I hope it transports them. Another thing is I hope that it inspires them. I want my music to inspire other people, the people coming up, and that's what I hope. But more than anything, I hope it transports them to another place that's in their imagination that they may not have visited before. And hearing my music opens that door for them.
I think you're the very first musician to ever say that I hope it takes them somewhere. I mean... That's
the true, honest answer. So help me God to your question.
Yeah.
And that was a real brilliant question. I get asked questions all the time, and they're usually pretty much along the same nature. Yeah. But that really was a very thoughtful question to ask.
Music's therapy, folks, and that's what it should do. When you put on an album, when you put your headphones on, you should go to another place. It should take you.
You should.
Yeah.
Out of all the arts, out of painting, sculpting, poetry, literature, music is the one art that doesn't have to go through your brain first. It goes right to your heart.
Amen.
You either like it or you don't.
That's exactly.
You don't have to think about it. Once you hear it, it either works for you or it doesn't.
We had talked about earlier, you're releasing or getting ready to come out with your new album. Is it going to be released possibly by the end of this year, or is it going to be late next year, early next year?
Actually, the release date is scheduled for the end of 2017.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For you, Kelly, what made you want to become a musician? What was that spark for you, though?
Oh, God, I got to be honest with you, man. I never even thought about it. I never even thought about it, you know?
Yeah.
If you grow up around monkeys, you're just going to find one day that you like eating bananas. I just was born into it, dude.
Yeah.
I heard it all the time.
Yeah.
I heard cello lessons. I heard violin lessons. I heard voice lessons. I heard trombone lessons. I heard all the instruments. Whenever I'd come down here to the school, all I heard was music. It was seeped into my DNA. And the same for Randy. Somebody asked me once, how could Randy come up with some of those harmonies? Did he go to school and learn composition? No. Did he study theory? No. But he grew up in it. He heard it since he was a baby, and so did I. That was the family business. All levels of people. All levels of people. I can remember one time when I was a little kid, my mom had a piano student, and I went up to her afterwards and I said, Mom, was that a man or a woman? And my mom said, that was a music student. Turns out who I was talking about was Nicky St. Nicholas from Steppenwolf.
Wow.
My mom taught him piano. She taught Zakk Wylde's daughter piano, too, and she gave Madonna's daughter, Lourdes, one piano lesson, and then they moved.
That's crazy. I've always said, I've been real big into acoustic guitar. I love the way it sounds.
Mm-hmm.
And piano, too, man. Piano just...
Oh, absolutely.
Piano just soothes the soul.
Thank you.
I guess I just get it, what music is.
It's everything for me.
Yeah.
I like to say that it replaced alcohol in my life, in that if I'm not doing it, I'm thinking about it or I'm dreaming about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't drink anymore, but that's how I feel about the piano now. Now, just recently, I've been singing in rock bands again. It's real funny. I thought I'd never do that again. Singing all kinds of stuff. Metal stuff, old Animal tunes,
wow.
Ozzy tunes, Riot tunes, bands called Kelle Rhoads and Friends, and I never thought I would do that again. I wasn't looking for it, but it just happened. And now I'm starting to get busy with that.
That's my next question. I was going to say, do you ever think that you would put another metal album out? Maybe?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Sure. Absolutely I would. I would in a minute.
Yeah, that's awesome.
In fact, people tell me we do a couple of Sabbath songs, and people say that I do them real, real good.
I've always wanted to challenge somebody, and they look at me like I'm stupid when I say this, but they could do it if they really wanted to. The classic hit by the Animals, House of the Rising Sun. I would love to hear a heavier version of that.
That's a great, great tune. The one that we do is "You Got to Get Out of This." We got to get out of this place.
Yeah.
We cover that one.
Good stuff.
Of course,
man.
we do it like a little bit hard rocked out,
Yeah.
and like in today's, like we don't do it like 60s style. We updated it, and it's got a real nice hard edge guitar in it. But that turned out real good. And you never know. You never say never, because you never know. Oh my God, I never thought I'd sing in rock bands again. Here I am in my 60s, and I'm getting back into it.
Yeah, I got to listen to Back to the Coast. Not bad, my man. Not bad at all.
Well, you know what? I wrote the lyrics to that song. It's the only song that Randy and I wrote together.
Oh, that's cool.
Which version do you have, the Legend version or Immortal Randy Rhoads?
It was one I saw on YouTube a couple days ago. I was on
Oh,
there.
okay.
So.
All right. Well, that's on 2 records that you can buy, like, in stores, CDs. And one of them is on Cheap Talkin' Romance, which was released in 1985 on the Legend label. And then we just recorded Immortal Randy Rhoads with a bunch of real famous guitar players, and everybody is doing a song by Randy.
That's
You
awesome.
got George Lynch doing a song, you got Brad Gillis doing a song, you got Dweezil Zappa doing a song, you got the guy that sings in Testament, he's doing a song, and Ripper Owens is singing a couple of songs, and my song is Back to the Coast.
I just have one more Randy question for you.
Sure.
When Zach came in to Ozzy to play guitar, when he does Randy's songs or guitar parts, stuff like that, to me, I think he's done him justice, and that's just me only. But what's your take on it, man?
Well, of course, I love Zach. Zach's been here a million bazillion times.
Right.
He calls this place Mecca.
Oh yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He calls this place Mecca.
It's the Holy Grail, man.
And he's been here many times, and I like the way he plays, but I got to be honest with you. Outside of my brother, I think the most talented guitar player that Ozzy ever had outside of Randy, next to Randy, was Jakey Lee.
Yeah, for sure. Jeez.
But I love Zach. I mean, shit, Zach's great, man.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, this is Zach. He goes, I'm the youngest brother. You're the older brother. Randy's the middle brother, and I'm the youngest brother. He says that to me all the time.
You gotta love Zach. He may look like a Viking and rip your throat out, but he's a big teddy bear.
Oh, my God, he's one of the hardest working people I've ever met.
That is
He's
true.
always working.
I will hopefully get to see him in Louisville at a festival in a couple of weeks. I hope I get to interview him. But,
I hope you do, too.
Try my ass off, that's for sure.
Well, I see him all the time. I'll put in a good word for you.
I
don't know that that'll work.
I
I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee that me putting in a good word for somebody is going to lead directly to you getting to interview him.
Right.
But you know what? It sure won't hurt.
Yeah. I just appreciate the help, man, because it comes full circle, you know?
That's all right. That's all right.
I want to get back to the Masonia School of Music here.
Oh, okay.
How crucial is it to keep this open for for everybody to come in and take lessons and things like that for you guys, man?
Absolutely essential to follow my mom's dream.
Yeah.
Shortly after World War II, my mom had a dream where everybody in a family, could, not everybody had a television set back then.
Well,
so
true.
you had some big families. So, my mom wanted everybody in the family to play, not one person. And the rest of the kids don't get to play because the family can't afford it. And it's absolutely essential to us that we continue with my mom's dream of furnishing the finest musical instruction to anybody that cares to take it, that's willing to practice for a nominal fee, for a very, very reasonable fee. Because that's what my mom was all about. She was all about teaching people how to play music.
I just like to say, as a fan of Randy, and plus you, as a human being, thank you guys for everything that you have done for music so far, my friend.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad that you appreciate it and then you see the value of it.
Oh, yeah.
That really makes me happy. It makes me think that we're on the right track here and that my mom's idea she had wasn't so far-fetched. And in fact, one of the proof of that is the other music schools that were started around the time this one was, they don't exist anymore.
Wow.
Just this one.
It goes to show you.
Just this one.
Yeah.
68 years of continual music lessons. Oh, it was a store for a while. We were a Gretsch dealership. We sold Selmer horns. But you know what? It's just a school now.
How can folks stay in touch with you, buy some of your music, and keep up what you're doing, and plus the school? How can you do that, Kelly?
Just by simply giving me their order in the form of write me a letter, send it to the school. The address is all over the internet. Put $10 in there, and I'll send you a CD. $40 for 4, 30 for 3, 20 for 2, and 10 for 1. And indicate which CD that you want. Or if they live in California, they can go to the Amoeba stores. We have a huge, huge store out here. There's one in San Francisco, one in Berkeley, and one in Hollywood, and they're called Amoeba stores. And they are the largest record store you will ever see in your life.
Before I let you go, good sir, will you care to do a promo for my show?
I'd love to do it. This is Kelle Rhoads, and you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. That was freaking awesome. Thanks, Kelly.
You are absolutely welcome, my friend.